Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Their slogan is "There's no better place to buy a boat," and that's because there's no better place to buy a boat. Between Atlanta and Nashville, there's no better place to buy a boat. If you're looking for a selection of new boats, it's tremendous. If you're looking for a selection of used boats, it's fantastic as well. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask Bob Hodge here. Bob, you got a used boat from Madisonville Marine. How you liking it?
Tickled to death. If I had the money, I would have 2 boats from Madisonville Marine. Wouldn't have a wife, but I would have 2 boats.
We may need one of those boats to drive home today.
Yeah, it's coming down. All right, Madisonville Marine folks, get down there and check them out. Highway 411 North in Madisonville. All right. Every year, Athlon Sports does a thing. Well, several magazines do this now. They interview SEC coaches, and they grant them anonymity to try and get them to say a few more honest opinions about rival schools. I just want to throw out a couple of things that were said about Tennessee and get your guys' take on it, whether you agree, disagree. The first one, this is again an anonymous SEC coach on Tennessee, says they've recruited well, but they're replacing all 5 starters up front, and that will be a heck of a task. They lost a lot of starts up there, including the Tiny Richardson kid who was powerful. Kind of a no, kind of a no dud.
He didn't have to be anonymous.
All right. The next one. This is interesting. You want to catch those guys early. You don't want to play them late because they'll be better, but they will be a little disjointed early. They'll have a lot of young guys playing, so you want to catch them in September. Get them before they kind of get their feet on the ground. I think that's common thinking, but the fear is, and we've talked about it, Ole Miss and Hugh Freeze said our young guys hit a wall in November. Thoughts on that statement? I see the logic in both things. I know the freshman wall's real, and yes, they should know what they're doing by November. Which one wins out?
Well, I think if you start these guys as freshmen right away, which Ole Miss was doing with Treadwell and all those guys, then there's more of the chance at the wall. If you bring them along and they don't start playing a lot until game 3 or 4 or 5, there's less chance hitting that wall. So I think that's the argument he's making, is that you bring these guys along slowly, and as they adjust to the system later in the year, they're going to be better. But you're going to be playing, I think Tennessee's going to be playing a lot of these guys early because they're going to have to.
Yep.
Josh Malone, Vic Wharton maybe, Dylan Bates and some others, Emmanuel Mosley. So I think there is a chance of hitting that wall. I almost think it offsets each other.
And you wonder, too, how are you going to be mentally and physically as a team after that October stretch where you've had so much trouble in the past? If you've lost some games and if you've lost some players to injuries, you may be better, but you're still going to kind of have a tough November.
Well, you have a tough September. I mean, as this guy says, you want to catch them early, and the problem is Tennessee, when they signed them up, probably thought Utah State and Arkansas State were going to be breathers, and those are solid football teams. Again, they're not on a par with traveling to Oklahoma, who's also in September, but it's better than your standard UT Martin that you brought in here in recent years.
I don't think you can worry about them hitting the wall. You put the guys out there the first game that are the best, gives you the best chance to win, and you worry about November when November gets there.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the point is they're likely to hit that wall.
Well, I was just making a statement. So I wanted to be right for a change.
We'll jump one. I thought we talked about this in the last segment a little bit. One of the coaches said, I thought Josh Dobbs was average, meaning last year. He's a really smart kid and all that stuff, but from a talent and skill level, average. I'm talking about precision, getting the ball out on time, throwing with accuracy. You like to have a guy who can push the ball down the field. He was average in those areas, but a lot of that comes with youth, so maybe he can develop it. Some guys need to see a guy wide open before they throw the ball, and it's too late. That's the difference between the good ones and the great ones, getting the ball out on time. What's interesting about that is, last season, I think we made that comment more about Worley than we did Dobbs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So maybe it's the system.
Well, I think you got
it's way too early to start beating up on Josh Dobbs. But there was a reason that he didn't have a long list of SEC teams that were recruiting him. Now I don't think so. A lot of that stuff doesn't matter, but that comes from an SEC coach, and there weren't a bunch of SEC teams lined up to take Josh Dobbs last year.
Well, he sure wasn't very good against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he threw the interception early in the
flat. He
was
real good against Kentucky, but that's Kentucky. So,
although if he doesn't have that block in the back on the touchdown run around the end, he actually wins the game against Vanderbilt.
And
but you're right, he didn't pass.
Dobbs looked great against Vanderbilt. He got that play out.
Good enough to win.
All right, when we come back, over under, we're going to look at some interesting stats from Tennessee and tell you where we think they'll finish in the coming year. Come on back on the Sports Source.